2 years ago, Joel Embiid dropped 70 points in a game that might end up being the absolute peak of his career. Since then, it's been knee injuries, surgeries, and constant questions about whether he'll ever return to form or even be an impact player at all. But this past week, on the 2-year anniversary of that 70-point game, Embiid quietly put up a 32-point triple-double in an OT win. So today, I want to take a full deep dive into that performance and ask a simple question. Who is Joel Embiid as a player right now, 2 years removed from the best game of his career? We'll start on offense, where the Sixers go with this little exchange to get Embiid a post up, and Şengün is gonna double on the flight of the ball, and that's a nice quick read by Embiid. I think maybe he could try Oubre for a dunk, but I think the simple pass works great, and that's a nice job to exploit the double team. They go back to that same concept here, and this time Houston does not double on the catch, so Embiid has this one-on-one, drives the baseline, and that's a pretty slick pass off a live dribble there, and I don't mind that look for Maxey at all, so some good playmaking from the big man early on. This time Philly wants to pick on the smaller Okogie, and Embiid takes him to the middle of the floor into his free throw line dungeon, where I think he feels his hands here and shoots this hoping for a call, which he doesn't get, but it doesn't matter because he's still an unreal mid-range shooter and just drains it anyways. And that play worked, so they want that matchup again, but this time they'll clear the whole side for Embiid, and Şengün hangs out a little bit to help, but Joel knows he can't stay in the paint there, so he waits for him to leave, then starts his back down. Now the double comes from up top, and that's another nice pass and good shot for Maxey. So good stuff so far offensively, but the real questions for Embiid are more about his mobility on defense, and I think here we see some reliance on swatting and swiping with the hands, which is kind of a natural countermeasure to not being able to move super well or just not wanting to leave the ground. Shepherd misses this one, but probably could have made it, and then there's just not much lift on this rebound attempt. But that limited movement is really just a reality at this point, and overall I was actually pretty encouraged by his mobility in this one, even though I think his defense feels a little bit more like a survival technique than a super strong positive. But honestly, survival's a huge step in the right direction after last season and early this season. This was some of the more encouraging movement from this game, where you can see KD give the head nod for the screen here, and Embiid gets all the way out to the level of the screen, forces a pickup and recovers to Jabari, and now runs over to double team Şengün. And this didn't work out, but the fact that he's moving like this at all is an awesome sign to me. But let's get back on offense, and this was a fun one where the fast break creates a bunch of cross matches, and Embiid ends up with Shepherd on him, who gambles on the entry pass, so now Capella helps, and a quick kick out and swing pass would probably lead to an open three here. But why do that when you can go one dribble spin cycle all the way to the basket? And this is vintage Embiid footwork, using this little step to get Capella leaning that direction, and then the quick fluid spin. That is really encouraging and just nasty. So that's a really solid start for him, but I think we get our first true missed read this time down, where again he likes to work around the nail, and Durant knows it, and just a little patience here to read this out and see Edgecomb would have been good, but instead he tries the drive and just can't sneak it around Şengün. Embiid has never been an elite passer, and he's definitely had his struggles reading double teams, and those issues popped up in this game where he had 5 turnovers and some missed opportunities. We see this one later in the game when Capella's showing help here, and Joel should probably take advantage of this 2-on-1 with a quick kick out, but instead starts backing down and gets to a hook shot. And even though this isn't a bad shot exactly, a better one would have been this kick out to Grimes for 3, or this kick out to George with VJ ready to screen for him. Let's go back to the first half though, where they like these pin downs to get a switch and set up the post up, and Embiid can just barrel through the smaller Amen and get the foul call here, although I don't really see the foul. They call Jabari, who looks like he gets the ball. But anyways, Philly wants that matchup again here, and this time Houston's gonna scram switch Amen off of Embiid, and I love this immediate handoff getting Maxey downhill for the floater, because as the Rockets scram out Amen, Embiid recognizes that the advantage here is not him versus Şengün, and instead it's Maxey versus Şengün. Maxey's just too quick for LP, so getting Tyrese the ball here with Şengün in the action is chef's kiss to me. That is perfect, gold star, high fives all around. We'll see a similar concept here where Okogie gets caught on this screen, and we see the triple switch by the Rockets. So again, LP's on Embiid, and the Sixers are happy to put him in action against the new and improved Tyrese Maxey, who's just an impossible cover right now. I also like the recognition from Oubre to clear the corner to make more space for him, and that is more gold stars for everyone involved. They go back to that action again here, and watch Okogie trying to fight through, but he ends up on Embiid, and as Şengün Şengün tries to scram him out. This time, Maxey beats that switch with the skip pass, and Oubre can attack that closeout to score, so the Rockets being terrified of having a small guy on Embiid has now helped create multiple baskets without him even taking a shot. And if you want to take a shot at winning money, you should try out Underdog, where new customers get $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play just $5 on fantasy to get started. Just use the code JDNBA when you sign up and it'll load instantly. Underdog keeps it simple. Pick higher or lower on 2 or more player stats and you've got a shot to win up to 5,000 times your entry. It's also championship weekend in the NFL, and right now you can open the Underdog app to use 2 40% boosts. I will be rooting for my New England Patriots to return to the Super Bowl after a long and treacherous 8-year drought, of course, but Underdog is available in most states, as you can see on this beautiful little map here, and again, that's code JDNBA at sign up for $75 when you play just 5. Okay, back to defense now. Şengün wants to attack off this kick out, and Embiid rotates over to go straight vertical and come down with his hand on the ball. That looks like he's much more in control of his body than he's been in the past, and another example of that, I like this crash here where he's just rumbling through 2 bodies and gets up to keep this ball alive. So these normally wouldn't be a huge deal, but he's just looking much healthier than a few months ago. This time he starts way out here and runs into the handoff. This is a design play to get him an ISO around this free throw line area, and he gets into his bag with a beautiful move. He goes with this little fake to get Capella just a touch out of position, and then he's just too big and strong down here for basically anybody. And the Sixers go right back to that handoff play, but this time totally clear the left side with these cutters, and now Shepherd sends the double off of Oubre, so Jabari sinks to take that pass away, and KD has 2 guys out here where Paul George is literally wide open, but Embiid just totally misses this one and goes to VJ instead. And with KD in the passing lane, Joel has to loft this pass over his head, and that gives the Rockets enough time to scramble out and recover, so not his best work on that one. Let's get some more defense now, where Amen's trying to pick on Maxey, and again, that's solid rim protection from the big fella, but then on this next one, he's guarding Jabari, but you can tell he wants to stay near the rim, and Jabari cuts for the easiest basket of the game. And I wonder if this is just fatigue, because some simple communication here telling Maxey to switch to Jabari is really all they would have needed there. But I did think he made up for that a few minutes later with the Rockets trying to pick on him, and you can see Edgecombe forcing Maxey away from this screen and into Embiid, who then recovers to the pop and then locks up this drive and gets a steal. So those knees are still working. He's sliding the feet there. That's awesome. Again, really encouraging. But the defensive sequence of the night, in my opinion, starts here where the Sixers force a huge steal. Maxey beats everybody down the floor to the rim, but he falls down, and now Oubre takes Durant on the inbounds, and there's no one on Reed Shepherd, so Embiid has to take him and contest at the rim, and now on the putback attempt goes straight vertical to stop Jabari. And is he back? Wow, that's impressive. So we go to overtime now, and here's the communication we needed earlier, sending Edgecombe to the corner, and now Embiid can stay low and get a huge block to start the OT. And then he comes right down and runs a pick and pop with Maxey, and he could drive this, and I think maybe prime Embiid would drive this and take it one-on-one, but instead he keeps the machine moving with a handoff, picks off Tari Eason, and that is a massive shot by PG. So the Sixers would go on to close this one out, mainly on the back of a crazy Tyrese Maxey 4th quarter and OT scoring performance. He just put on a show, but Embiid finished with 32 points, 15 boards, 10 assists, and much better defense and mobility than I would have expected. So 2 years removed from his career high, he's certainly not MVP level anymore, but with a huge breakout from Tyrese Maxey, I think having this toned down version of Embiid as the 2nd best player on the team is actually pretty dangerous, and overall, I was really encouraged by the film in this one. Let me know in the comments what you think of how he's looked lately. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.